Hi everyone, it's Stephanie and I hope everyone is having an amazing day. So by now I'm pretty sure you have seen one of my Married at First Sight review videos for season 6. If you have not, take a look. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I usually do videos on Married at First Sight is really what I started with. I'm looking to do other stuff, but I also answer questions in the therapy space and relationship space. And I had somebody recently reach out and say, what do you think people should look for when they're trying to be on Married at First Sight? So I thought that was a great question, so I'm literally just gonna throw some stuff out off the top of my head. Married at First Sight is such an exciting show. I absolutely love it, and it is essentially an arranged marriage. So I don't know if people are getting kind of caught up on it being a show or maybe like the excitement and idea of love, but people need to really be aware that, you're really getting married. So my first tip would be for singles is to recognize that you're getting married. Now that sounds so, oh duh, it's Married at First Sight, but I've seen a lot of people say, well, I started looking for something serious and I wasn't really sure, or I was looking for a serious relationship. Well, looking for a serious relationship and looking for marriage is two different things. Yes, marriage is a serious relationship. It's the most serious relationship between two people. But if you're looking for a serious relationship and then you do this experiment and then you get chosen and you get married, like you will be getting married. It's a legitimate marriage. If you're not really looking for that, you don't want to do that to someone who is. So be looking for marriage. Be aware that it's a real show about people getting married. So that's one. Number two, be prepared to be with someone that you may not be attracted to. So this is a biggie because this is a blind set. I mean, this is the ultimate blind date, right? So you don't know who you're going to be matched with. You don't know what they look like. You don't even know their name until you get up to the altar. And a lot of times I've seen these people during the matching episodes. It doesn't, someone said it doesn't matter what he looks like, as long as he's quirky and funny, like, be honest. It does, because physical attraction is a big deal. It's not the only thing, but when it's not there at all, that, fuels everything else. And so it won't work out. I actually just binged with my husband season 3 because he had never seen it. So we binged and watched season 3, and throwback to the couple David and Ashley. If you haven't seen that, that's like really one of the greatest seasons of the show. But no matter what David did, Ashley was not about it. She was not about a life with him. Yes, other things came up. Yes, they somewhat enjoyed each other, a laugh or two, but it was really tough to watch that season and tough to watch them because he wanted it so bad. He almost lived in a fantasy land with it because it wasn't what he thought it was, but he was just grasping at straws. And because she was not attracted to him, everything else was affected. I mean, there's nothing he could have done that would have made her stake it out. She pretty much was done from the beginning. It appeared like she wasn't for most people, but I knew from the beginning it was done. So if you know that you're not someone who is open to watching love grow or building attraction or being open to being with someone who you're not attracted to, don't do it. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm married, but if that was me, I couldn't do it. I'm not built for it. So if you're a single wanting to be on Married at First Sight, be prepared to be open to an experience that you have never had, i.e., being married, keyword married, to someone that you may or may not be attracted to. It's the luck of the draw, hopefully, but it may not be. And you still have to give 100% to, I don't even like calling it an experiment, I know it is, but you still have to give 100% to the marriage, because there are some people, there's a few that have lasted and it becomes a real thing. People have children and you build this life, and even if you don't, you wake up and go to sleep with this person for at least 2 months. It's we never get time back. So it's a chunk of your life that you never get back. So be committed to that. Be open to the fact that you might be with someone who you are not attracted to. So that's the second tip. Third tip, be ready to put things aside to focus on your marriage. So in season 6, I'm watching Ryan kind of bro out all day, every day, it appears. And his wife has a problem with that. Now, Ryan specifically is kind of doing things I don't think is, beneficial to the relationship. But either way, there's a small window that you get to know someone. The idea of being with someone that you've never met, and all of a sudden you get married, you go on a honeymoon, you move in with them, you meet families, you have conflict, and technically, yes, you can leave it, but for the most part, the idea is that you can't run away. It's very intense, even when it's good, even when it's great, it's intense because you're now no longer you. And that's really a tough thing. So be prepared to kind of put things on ice. If the experiment is 8 weeks, then, you can't hang out with your girls once a week like you used to. If the experiment is 8 weeks, you can't hang out with your guys once a week. It's not to say you can't hang out with them some of the time, but you really need to be prepared to put everything on ice. Like, you're in this, you're trying to figure out what it is, you're trying to figure out if this is your life plan and if this is what's gonna work, and you really have to give 100%. It's almost like if you have a deadline at work, you put your phone on Do Not Disturb. You turn it face down so the Facebook notifications don't distract you. You do what it takes. So you acclimate a little bit of that life. You hang out with a friend here, or you speak to family there, and you do a family thing here. You do a little bit of that, but it's not really reflective of maybe how much you normally do it in your single life. But that's the thing, you're not single anymore. And you also only have a short amount of time to really maximize this experience. It's almost like if vacation is 2 months away, then you're going to treat that workout very differently in the 2 months, instead of if vacation was 6 months away, you're like, oh, I have time, I can cheat a little bit. There really is a very small window to cheat. There really is not a window to cheat. So you want to be able to get prepared to do that without feeling some type of way about it. You don't want to feel restricted or like your life is changing, even though it is, without the idea of being prepared to change your life because this is something that you want to do. Fourth tip, be prepared to change your life plan. So people get married, and especially on this show, especially on this season, I'm seeing that people kind of, there's a lot of people who want compromise, and compromise is huge in any relationship, especially marriage. But I'm also seeing people who literally want to insert somebody into this life that they've built. So they want, their single self to be conveniently married, show all the bells and whistles that come with marriage, but also now have the convenience of a spouse and all the fun stuff that comes with that. Well, it's not always that way. And if you really start to build a connection with someone, and you start to actually see, oh, we could possibly have a future, or let's take it one day at a time, or I could definitely see myself beyond the experiment, you have a whole other person with a whole set of other, circumstances and experiences and morals and life goals. And you want to kind of learn how to match those life goals and compromise those life goals, where one person doesn't necessarily have to give up something unless it's detrimental, or there's ways to kind of work around it. So case in point, Jackie in this season likes to travel. She initially, when she was her single self, wanted to live out of the country for a year or two. Ryan does not want to leave the four corners of his place. Now, that is his prerogative, and that's her prerogative. However, when you get into a marriage with someone, you have to make room for that person in the way that you have to let that person kind of live within reason, but you also have to be a part of that living. So the compromise for them might be, hey, let's go somewhere for an extended vacation. Let's do 2 months. Let's really immerse ourselves in this culture of wherever we go for 2 months. That way she gets to experience living in another place, but you don't have to leave what you know and what you love. And really the idea that you're not that person who likes to travel, or you never wanted to live in another country. It's really important to be open to that, because I think people think, oh, I'm going to be matched with someone. And so the idea of the marriage becomes what they want it to be. So I get to wake up with someone and have breakfast, and we get to do fun stuff together, and it's great, and you merge families. But it's all like, even though we logically know that marriage can be something that is taxing, it's all with the idea of, this is going to be so great, and it's going to go according to my plan. And even the miscellaneous stuff is going to be comfortable for me. So be prepared to change that life plan, or amend it, or compromise with it, and be prepared to make room for someone else that is offering someone that you may not want. or something that you may not want, but you kind of have to be open to what they may want and how it could work in both of your lives. So that's another thing. Let's see. So this other tip, I don't know, I think I'm at 5 right now. Be prepared to not do something you want to do, okay? So you're single, you sign up for this experiment and you get matched. Oh my God, it's like not that many people get matched. And you are now with someone who maybe doesn't want you to go out as often, or who has a problem with excessive drinking, or whatever the case may be. The experiment is not to make you comfortably married with someone at your convenience. You have to make concessions. You have to be in a marriage, you have to be respectful of what your spouse wants. And that may include you just not doing something. Like they do, within reason, it's not like, it's not, the militia, but within reason, they do kind of have the right to put a lid on something that you're cooking if they're not comfortable with it, or if it's disrespectful for them. And literally you go from being single 1 week and then the next week you're married, and that transition doesn't happen overnight just because you say I do. So be prepared to kind of not do the things that you're always doing and not be comfortable with it, and just being okay with taking that loss. We're going to call it a loss, okay? Because that's a loss for you, whether it's good or bad. It's a loss for you, and that's just something that you're going to have to do for the benefit of the marriage. What else? There's so many things, but those are the things that kind of stick out to me when I see this show and I see like singles get so excited. I mean, I've actually seen episodes, the matching episodes in certain seasons where people kind of get up and they leave because they're like, this isn't for me. It's okay that it's not for you. It's not really for most people, but it's a phenomenal experience for people who are ready to embrace it, ready to be leveled up by whoever if they're matched with in the instance that you're matched. But it is going to take some compromise. It is going to take some dedication. It is going to take some discipline. It's going to take some sacrifice. But all of those things, though they sound daunting, are amazing things. Think about the things that you've gotten in your life that really made a great impact in your life. They weren't without discipline. They weren't without sacrifice. They weren't without compromise. Think about those things. So it's definitely worth it. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of this show, and I just love, love, love all relationships, all things relationships. And so I just wanted to answer this person's question. Just some tips off the top of my head. I would love to hear what you guys have to think in terms of what you think people need to know before they try this show, because they're casting now in Dallas, and I'm sure they'll be casting somewhere else. And it's really good to kind of just see people go through this experiment and really be committed. So that's it. I mean, if that's you, take your chance. I mean, it seems pretty exciting to me, and you never know where the cards may fall. So that's it. If you have any other questions, please feel free to let me know. As always, subscribe and comment if you loved it, and talk to you soon.